All right, so today is April 30th, and on this day in history, Adolf Hitler commits suicide in 1945, effectively kind of ending, uh, close to ending World War II in Europe. So he, just so that we establish, he was a pretty paranoid dude. And he definitely had some mental health issues. And so by the time the war kind of was dwindling down, he really was not in a great state of mind. He was holed up in a bunker in Berlin, and he and his girlfriend, mistress, they both swallowed cyanide capsules and a capsule, and he shot himself. So he decided it was time for him to go. He would rather die on his own accord than to be captured and in turn tried as a war criminal. So this ended his dream of 1,000-year Reich. A Reich is just kind of like an empire, just in German. By 1943, it was clear. So remember, World War II starts in 1939. I mean, you could argue it starts sooner than that, and lots of people like to. There's lots of dates that you could argue that the war begins, but I like to say that the war begins with the invasion of Poland. And so the Germans experienced a lot of success really early on in the war. And then from 1943 on, it was clear that they were not going to be able to hold the pressure from the Allies. What ends up happening is they have to fight on three fronts. Okay, three. So they fight on the Eastern Front, which is Russia. Okay, they fought on the Western Front, which would have been here it says the Battle of Normandy, which that's D-Day, so you've probably heard of that before. And then eventually the Allies move up through Italy as well. So the Germans are fighting on three different sides, which is very difficult to maintain. So first, the Battle of Stalingrad. That Stalingrad is in Germany, in Russia. It was a long, terrible battle. You guys know that Russia is cold and awful, and some of this battle obviously was in the wintertime. There's a great story about kind of dueling snipers during that battle, but definitely one that was just a blow for for the Germans. And then we have the invasion of Normandy in June of 1944, which we also know as D-Day. But both sides of the war were able to push the Germans back to Berlin. German commanders plotted to remove Hitler from power, and there were several failed assassination attempts. So he spent his final days as of January 1945 until April 30th. He withdrew to his bunker to live out his final days. It was 55 feet underground. It had 18 rooms. It was self-sufficient. Sounds like those doomsday preppers. He grew increasingly crazy, so mad or crazy, but he still met with his officials. Oh, he did marry her, so I didn't even read far enough down. I haven't talked about this in a while, but he married the woman that he had been with for a very long time, Eva Braun, 2 days before his suicide. And then 9 days after that, we have VE Day, or Victory in Europe Day, which was May 8th, 1945. So the war would be over in Europe many months before the war was over in the Pacific, which, if as Americans, most of our troops fought in the Pacific, not necessarily in Europe. So there you go. On this day, Hitler kicks the can. Make sure you're working on your travel brochure advertisement. That's due today or tomorrow morning, whichever. You have an assignment, though, that will be posted tomorrow.